Welcome to my YouTube channel, The Lawyer's Law for Students. I was thinking for some time. I took a break basically for the students. I was coaching a lot of students and I'm still am. But the break was basically to think as to how to blend the history part of law along with the concepts of the acts, the basic things which you study in law. So now I've decided to go ahead with a lecture series, very short and crisp, on the legal history of India. See, this would go parallel to the normal acts which we discuss in videos lectures, right? Keep your suggestions, it will be easy for us, right, to understand. The legal history is so important that not only from the examination point of view, but also as a student of law, you must have that fair idea, right? Let's try. In the year 1600, the Royal Charter created a company. That name of the company was East India Company. We all know that. The very interesting thing about the company, the official title of the company was the Governor and Company of Merchants of London Trading into the East Indies. Imagine that was the name of East India Company. Now we know the company as East India Company. Throughout the history, it was known as East India Company. So what is the company about? It was a trading company. Initially, it had rights for 15 years, right? Extended, time of time. It had 15 years rights. And it has exclusive trading rights in countries to the east of Cape of Good Hope. Clear? Structure. What was the structure of the company? Very simple. It has a Governor General and 24 directors. Right. So what were the legal powers? Yes, the company was granted legal powers to make laws, but were a limited zone. They were, number one, for the company itself, number two, for its servants, and number three, for the advancement of the trading rights. So these were the narrow spheres on which the company were granted the rule-making powers, right? Now, back in 1600, when they had to travel by the sea. So the voyages had vessels, and the vessels had captain, and the captain was the supreme commander. He had to take charge of the vessel, and as also, he had to be vested with some powers. So he was given some powers to punish, and to punish also for capital offenses. Yes. So this is how basically the company was functioning. Now, how do we link up with India? Right. See, Surat at that point of time was a port town in the western part of India and under the Mughal Empire. Mughal Empire, right? Emperor Jahangir was then as the emperor. So in 1615, Sir Thomas Roe, he sent an ambassador to India, right? And Emperor Jahangir granted a firman, a royal firman. Now this is very important. What is royal firman? By the royal firman, the British were allowed to set up a factory in Surat, number one. They could have a house of their own, number two. They could have the religion, number three. They could follow their laws, number four, but within that period, right? So the British came to India. Now, there were two sets of laws. One, in case of any relation, good or bad, between an Englishman and an Englishman, the English laws were to be, the basis on which the disputes were to be resolved. But in case of the disputes between an Englishman and the Indian, then the Indian laws came. Understand? The first thing which happened was that the royal firman. The royal firman by Emperor Jahangir granted the first rights to the British, at that point of time the East India Company, to establish in India and have their rights. The administrative powers of the East India Company started way back in 1615, right? Then there was a separate charter. That the charter gave the governor some judicial powers, right? So these were wider because this is not related, confined only to the company, but also to its settlement areas. We'll discuss it later, and how the seat of the president transferred to Bombay and so on, but keep it short and simple. So what did we study? Number one, 1600, the Royal Charter, the birth of the East India Company. Number two, the zone. It had exclusive trading rights to countries east of Cape of Good Hope. Good. The structure, the Governor General and 24 directors, the legislative powers, rule-making powers in those fields of, number one, the company, number two, the servants, and number three, the advancements of trading rights. Then the voyages, the vessels. So the vessels had the captains, and the captains had the rights, and the captains had the powers to punish even for capital offenses. Otherwise, it will be total anarchy. The captain had to control the vessel. In the mid-sea, his word was law, right? And then came 1615. In 1615, Sir Thomas Roe sent an ambassador to India, and Emperor Jahangir granted a royal firman, issued a royal firman. So what was the royal firman? By that, the British could establish, the East India Company could have an establishment in India. We're talking about Surat, which is a port town in the western coast and under the Mughal Empire. Right. This firman laid down the foundation of the powers of the East India Company. And the advent of the British we'll talk later, and how the seat transferred. Thank you. The start of a new series, The Legal History of India. Drop in your comments. We'll keep in touch. We should know how things are shaping up. Right? We'll keep the regular courses also going. Don't worry for that. And hey, the All India Bar examination was declared, I've heard. And now many students are approaching, sir, help us with that exam. See, that exam is that has a huge number of subjects. So basically approach is that, as I can tell you, is that you have to score a particular number of marks. So you have to understand, follow this channel, follow what I'm saying. We'll keep it short and crisp so that it's easy for you to answer those questions. These are multiple choice questions I've seen, and you have to answer correctly. So they're put in a confused manner, but if you know the concept behind this section, it's easy to answer, right? Thank you. Take care. And the legal history series would continue parallelly. Thanks a lot. Lockdown time, study time. We promise to study. Take care.